At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. We're starting with a blank map. What do you say we do that? All right, let's get you started here with the the radar. Now, of course, it was a wet day for some of us, but not everyone saw that wet weather. In fact, as expected, and really, it was pretty much on par with what I was expecting. Most of the rain on the coast, that's where we saw it. The north end of the valley was going to see the most amount of rainfall, less rainfall heading southward. In fact, no rain reported out in Chico and Corning, Willows, and even Oroville. Red Bluff, just a tad, right? And then to the east of that, not nearly as much rainfall. In fact, we take a look at some of the rainfall totals that we've seen. Most of it was in the last 24 hours, but we kind of take it back 48 hours to kind of give you the full representation of how much rain we actually did see. Crescent City, 2.3 inches of rain. Where was that bullseye on that rate on the estimated rainfall the last several days before the storm even arrived? Del Norte County, right? And then southward, you see less and less. And then you see less and less over the mountains. And I was expecting about 1/10 of an inch of rainfall out at the Redding Airport. We saw 3/10 of an inch of rain. And there you can see to the south, right? Corning, Willows, Chico, nothing. Red Bluff, about 100th. And then, of course, a little bit more. We tend to squeeze out more moisture east of the valley, which is why we saw anywhere from about 1/10 for Chester and Quincy to 6/800ths out in Shingletown. So certainly a welcome sight, and we've got a lot more on the way. Yesterday was just the beginning. We've got a lot more on the way this week, this weekend, and most likely even next week. There's a winter weather advisory from 10 o'clock tonight through 4 p.m. Wednesday, mainly for elevations above 5,000 feet, but snow levels could drop down to as low as 4,000 feet, especially as we go into tomorrow and Wednesday. So there you go. Jackie Dixon saying she got an alert that there was, that's interesting, got an alert that there was lightning near Weaverville this morning. This morning? Well, let's take a look at the radar. I'm going to go ahead and go right into the radar here. I've got lightning strikes on. In fact, we'll put it there. I'll just put it near Weaverville. Let's see if there were any lightning strikes. Oh, what? There was. There was a lightning strike. That is really odd because that has to be some kind of weird anomaly because there's no rain, there's no thunderstorms, there's nothing out there. Interesting though, Jackie. Thank you for pointing that out because I had no idea that actually had happened. I didn't, well, I mean, I suppose you're kind of closer there, but thank you, yeah. And then, of course, we've got, Curtis saying, good morning, Mike. I measured 0.02 for yesterday. That is no big surprise. Of course, officially at the Red Bluff Airport is a 0.01. Curtis, you saw just 100th more than the airport. Very interesting. Yeah, but, I mean, that was expected. We were not expecting to see a lot of rain. So, again, we've got that winter weather advisory, 10 o'clock tonight through 4 p.m. Wednesday for elevations above 5,000 feet. But as I mentioned, they could drop down to as low as, I'd say, even 4,000 feet in some cases. Are my maps going to advance? I guess not. I guess because I got out of it. All right, now we're going to take a look at this. It's kind of that Zen moment, right? Just a beautiful sunrise overlooking Ash Creek in Ayden. Now, Addison Salter sent in this photo, and she sent it from the free Weather NorCal app. If you want to see your photo right here on Coffee with Krueger, it's simple. Just go to your app, go to the very bottom of the app, you just kind of scroll down, and it will say share your photos. And you can share your photos right there from your phone. So be sure to check that out. If you don't have it on your phone, just search for Weather Space NorCal in your app store. All right, here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Monday, February 9th. A little bit of a chilly start, but some clouds out there this morning making for more mild in the valley. We're generally in the mid-40s, but we've got some 20s, 30s for the higher elevations, and looks like right now in the low to mid-40s for the coast. Now this morning there will be some patchy fog. You know, with the rain that we saw yesterday, we got a saturated ground. And with some if you saw clearing last night, then most likely some fog did develop. The winds are calm, and when you got that saturated ground and clear skies, you can tend to see the temperature drop down to what's known as the dew point temperature. And when that happens, you start to see fog develop. So, you know, the mountain valleys starting to see some of that as well. And then there you can see eastern mountains, partly cloudy skies. Jackie, I'm going to see if your photo came in. because I did see a new photo come in, but it depends on what type of phone you have. There you are. All right, good. I see it. Look for it tomorrow. Look for it tomorrow, Jackie. It'll probably be on there. Thank you, Jackie, for sending that, and we'll take a look at that. Jackie, if you don't mind telling me what kind of phone you have, because there are issues with the Android, and if you're using an Android, that would be such great news, because Android has been having problems. And according to technical support, they had the problem fixed, but I'll be curious to see if that actually happens. Curtis, I know you have an Android, so it'll be interesting to see if you can send a photo. But Jackie, let me know what kind of phone you have, iPhone or Android. All right, out the door this morning, as I mentioned, there could be some of that patchy fog out there this morning. I'm getting distracted by all your comments. All right, so here we go. Satellite image. What we're seeing here is a big batch of clouds off over the Pacific. Now, if you look to the west of that, you'll see a bit of a spin. That's the area of low pressure that's going to be impacting us by tomorrow. Android, yay, good news, good news. That means the Android app is working. Curtis, try sending a photo. I know you had issues. Now, Curtis, if you have the older version of Android Weather NorCal app, you may want to take it off your phone and then reinstall it, because I think they fixed it. That's awesome, good news. I'm glad to hear that Android can now send photos, yes. All right, got distracted again. So today it's going to be a dry day. We're going to see clouds probably increase from the south throughout the morning and this afternoon, but dry. Then by tonight into tomorrow morning, we're going to start to see some scattered showers developing, maybe some snow flurries down to about 4,000, 4,500 feet in Lassen and Plumas counties, and even into parts of Siskiyou County as well, but nothing heavy at this point. It's not until tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, that we start to see more of that widespread rain, but not everyone's seen that, and we'll see that in the deeper dive here in a bit. Mount Shasta Ski Park is temporarily closed. After the rain they saw yesterday, they probably saw the snow melt. It's just not good conditions up there right now. But there is hope, my friends. There is hope that we're going to see some snow up there this week, and especially this weekend. So for Tuesday, Wednesday combined, I'd say the lower elevations of the park, at the base of the ski park, we'll probably see about 6 inches. And above that, maybe upwards of a foot of fresh snow. And then a lot more than that is expected by the weekend. So there's a very good chance they may be able to reopen, hopefully, this upcoming weekend or shortly after that. Look at the chances for rain this week. This is a typical cool and unsettled weather pattern. Off and on chances for rain, temperatures most likely below normal for the most part through this week. Temperatures today, though, above normal. We're dry, and days that we're dry, we will be looking at temperatures a little bit warmer. Low to mid 60s in the valley, 40s and 50s for the higher elevations and for the coast. Tonight, I'm expecting mid 40s on average for the valley, 20s and 30s for the higher elevations, and for the coast, you'll be looking at temperatures somewhere in the low 40s tonight. So here is a typical 7-day forecast for this time of the year. You gotta love it, right? Off and on chances for rain. The breaks that we'll see are today, Thursday and Friday, and then more wet weather coming into the weekend. We take you to the coast, inland, and for Trinity County. Now, take a look at Trinity County. 4,000 to 4,500 feet Tuesday, Wednesday, but look at the weekend. 2,500 feet. I think Weaverville, Hayfork possibly could see some snow this upcoming weekend. Mount Shasta City, I think you're going to have to hold off until this weekend too, but it'll be close on Wednesday. El Turris, you may see some snow Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Susanville, and then better chances. Now notice Susanville, I don't have rain in there for you Saturday. That's because it may take a while for Saturday's system to reach eastward. That's why I got you mainly on Sunday. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's quick cast. Let's take a look at some of the cameras that we have out there. Lake Orville, just completely dark. I don't know if the camera's down or what, but that's what it's looking like out there right now. Main Street, Chico, Highway 32. Looks like we are seeing those clear skies out there this morning. Highway 99 at Neal Road. Beautiful sunrise out there. We've got some clouds this morning. I-5 in Red Bluff. Looks like still dark. Can't really see much going on there. Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. You can see we can see the sun coming up off in the distance there. And there are some clouds out there this morning, but not a ton. Not a ton of cloud cover. There you can see Sutter Buttes. Looks like there's some patchy fog. If you look closely, as you go into the valley from the mountains, you'll see some patchy areas of fog there, but nothing all that intense. Taking you out to Crescent City this morning. Yeah, it looks like there was a little bit of drizzle this morning, but we are going to be looking at drier conditions also for the coast this morning. And we take out to Bald Hill West. Yeah, just some of those clouds lingering in the area. That's that patchy fog. Especially for all that rain, you kind of tend to see a lot of that fog. There's Soda Ridge looking out, usually out at Mount Shasta. That is sucked in with some of the fog. Fort Jones, you're sucked in with some of that fog out there this morning. It's kind of working its way up even into the higher elevations, it looks like. So some of that patchy fog out there as well. We take a look at Lassen Park. And you can see some of the snow that we still have out there. Looks like a little bit of a top of a tree kind of poking out there. And maybe they'll see some more snow this week. Well, today is Monday. We've got our Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals sponsored by Grange Co-op. Today, we are going to learn about tarantulas. It's actually very interesting because we know they're venomous, but it's not the venom that they use as their defense mechanism. What they use to defend themselves is actually quite interesting. Check it out. This week, our Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, Flick the tarantula. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. You're watching another edition of Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. We've got Adrian here, and we have got a tarantula.
A tarantula.
Named
That's
Flick.
Right.
Now, how did Flick get her name?
Flick got her name because this species of tarantula, like many of our New World tarantulas in the Americas here, have a really cool adaptation to protect themselves. So you asked if tarantulas are venomous, which all tarantulas and actually all spiders are venomous, and you can't take their venom gland out.
Interesting.
One of the things that makes the spiders affect they're venomous. But they don't want to use their venom on a predator. They want to use their urticating hairs. So on the back of her, she has these cool little hairs, and you can kind of see them if you get up close. Those are called urticating hairs. You think of something that irks you and bothers you. These urticating hairs act like itching powder. And so what they'll do is they'll flick them with their back legs off of their abdomen here into the air, and they aim them right at your eyes. Or a predator's eyes.
Wow.
And so the predator's too busy itching their eyes and trying to get that stuff out of their eyes, and the tarantula has time to escape down into their burrow.
And they're pretty quick, right?
They're pretty fast sometimes, yeah. And tarantulas are the arachnid group. So there are spiders and ticks, vinegaroons. There's lots of animals in the arachnid group. Not all of them are venomous, though. There's false spiders, too, that aren't venomous. But they do all have 8 legs. One of the things that makes them an arachnid. This species is actually a Mexican red knee. Can you guess why she's called a red knee?
Because I see red knees, or they look more rusty
They're
orange.
more of a rusty orange color, but they come in a variety of reddish colors.
If it was red, that'd be a little bit more intimidating, I would think.
And they can be pretty vibrant sometimes. These guys are native to the deserts of Mexico and the high mountainous dry deserts of Mexico, and down into Central America as well. And we even have tarantulas here in the Americas. Did you know that? Like North America?
I think so, but not really the Redding area, right?
Not a lot in Redding, not really in Redding at all. But down in the deserts, think of like Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and Southern California. Even down in the Bay Area, there's actually a migration of tarantulas every year, and people go to watch these tarantula males migrate to find females, and you'll see thousands of tarantulas.
So to see them in the, I guess, the wild, if you will, what would be the main? People always get concerned about, oh, they're venomous, they're going to bite me. That's not necessarily the concern. It's mainly the hairs, right?
Yeah, it's the hairs you have to worry about. And as long as you leave them alone, they're not going to hurt you. Tarantulas don't jump. They're very fragile. We have to be really careful when we're handling them because they can break just like an egg.
Wow.
Yeah, this abdomen right here is actually very fragile, and it's very easy to break a tarantula, so you don't want to drop them. Very few tarantulas are good at climbing. There are some species, but most are not. They're mostly terrestrial, and they like to live underground. So those ones that we have here in the North America and in the United States, they spend most of their time underground, and they're always coming out at a certain time of year just to search for a mate.
Well, that is awesome. Something new every week. I feel like I learn something new from you guys over here. So if you want to keep watching, you can always go to weathernorcal.com. We've got all of the great educational segments on weathernorcal.com, and just click on the animal family segment and you'll be good to go. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Flick. Learned a lot about you today. We'll see you next week. So I just wanted to kind of show you what that looks like. So if you go to weathernorcal.com, if you enjoyed that segment, there are many other segments. We've probably done every animal more than once. If you go down in here where it says, you can see Animal Family, there's Nessie, and of course sponsored by Grange Co-op. You go on that and then you'll see right here, it says Wonderful World of Animals. You click on that and then it takes you a page. So there's the latest one, and look at this. There are 7 pages of all these different ones that we've done. It's really awesome. So be sure to check that out, because it really is just a lot of fun, a lot of things that Sharon and I kind of covered. So you can always kind of check the latest Wonderful World of Animals. We do it once a week, and I want to thank Grange Co-op for their sponsorship of Turtle Day Wonderful World of Animals. We're going to take another look at the sunrise over Ash Creek in Ayden. Addison Salters sent this photo from the free Weather NorCal app, and it's now confirmed that if you've had issues sending photos from your Android device, they now work, because I do have confirmation that someone used their Android phone. They were able to send a photo and it worked. I have it right there in my computer. So that's absolutely amazing. Now, if it still doesn't work for you on an Android, just take the app off your phone, put it back on. You should be good to go, because it looks like they were able to fix it and get things going. But if you want to send your photos, send them from the free Weather NorCal app. If you don't have the app, why not? You should have it on your phone. It's the best local source of weather information created by yours truly. I mean, you want to make sure you've got the best weather information. And you can do that by searching Weather NorCal in your app store. Well, Coffee with Krueger would not be possible, and really Weather NorCal in general would not be possible without our sponsors. And Coffee with Krueger has been sponsored since day one by Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, so winter is back. Yes, it's back. Remember the last several weeks? It felt more like spring. Not at all winter, but winter's back. And it's going to stick around for a while, folks. We got cool and unsettled weather this week, lowering snow levels. There will be mountain travel impacts later this week, and especially this weekend. So let's dive into all of that, what we can expect this week and going into the weekend in our Deeper Dive forecast, sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Hearing isn't just about sound. It's about being part of every moment. This isn't your grandparents' hearing aid. It's a smart hearing aid for modern life. It's Bluetooth enabled, easy to control from your phone with your personal prescription, delivering the clarity you need. All that technology at half the cost of competitors, so you never miss a moment worth hearing. With our Here For You program, you get personal care and support every step of the way. This is what quality care sounds like.
All right, so the radar, we're going to start off with that because we saw the rain yesterday, right? And interesting, very interesting. Lightning strike, right there. I'm not sure what that's about. Here's what I'm going to do. I am, just for fun, we're going to go into analysis. We're going to go into radar, reflectivity, and we're going to use the, and let's see if there's actually any returns coming in. And there aren't. That is a really unusual thing that is happening. I don't know why there's lightning, but there is lightning. Very interesting. All right, I don't know what that's all about, but there's lightning. There's a lightning strike. If you heard a rumble of thunder, because, I mean, that's very near Weaverville. If you actually heard a rumble of thunder, let me know in the comments, because that's really weird. I don't know why there's a lightning strike there. But anyway, I digress. Most of the rain, snow has moved on out of here, and we're going to see a bit of a break from the wet weather. Now, right now, it's a little chilly out there, especially in the mountains. 29 degrees for Alturas, 31 for Susanville. We've got low to mid 40s in the valley right now, and looks like low to mid 40s out along the coast this morning. Kind of an active Pacific, right? Look at all the activity out here. I mean, you got an area of low pressure here, another one up to the north. We're going to be looking at some of these storms having an impact on us, and as early as tomorrow. This right here, kind of interesting, I mentioned this in my early morning forecast as well. This signature is what's known, tell your friends about it. When you're looking at the satellite, you can tell your friends about it and impress them. This is what's known as a baroclinic leaf. Essentially what it is, and when we look at satellite images, we can look at it and look for different signs that kind of help us predict the future with the weather, right? So when you have a baroclinic leaf, what this is showing is the signs, the beginning phases of a storm developing. And typically right about in this dip right here that you start to see, right? You start to see low pressure begin to develop, and we're certainly seeing that. So this is all going to come together right here and then work its way into Northern California. Now, it's going to stay to our south, and we're going to see rain down in Central and Southern California, but the flow around that area of low pressure will draw in and push that moisture northward. And to kind of show you that we do indeed have moisture associated with this, the green is indicating a saturated atmosphere. That is, there's moisture in the atmosphere. So this storm system, as it kind of comes in, it brings in some cooler air, this is what's going to move on in. So yes, it is going to be coming in from the southwest. Typically, these are warmer storm systems. It's a warmer source of moisture, but we're also going to be tapping into some colder air from the north, and this is going to allow our snow levels to drop slightly. All right, so here you go. There's the area of low pressure right there. There's that storm system. This moves on in Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's going to remain fairly stationary Tuesday into Wednesday and then begin to dissipate and move out of the area by the second half of the day on Wednesday. So I would anticipate at this point that Tuesday will be the day we'll see the most amount of rainfall and snow, and then less as we go into Wednesday as the storm system begins to kind of wrap itself up. And that being said too, less rainfall for the coast, which we'll get into that here in a second. We'll see a weak ridge build in come Thursday and even Friday. And then by Saturday, Sunday, look at where the storms are coming from. They're coming from the north. So these are going to be even colder storm systems over the weekend. I was talking about snow levels around 4,000, 4,500 feet for your Tuesday, Wednesday. They're going to be even lower by the time we get into the weekend. We're talking possibly as low as 2,000, 2,500 feet, especially I'd say even lower going into early next week because we got some even colder air moving. Look at all the snow that's being shown here. So that is a sign that we're starting to see those snow levels really begin to drop. The timing of how low it gets, how low the snow levels, all of that. Those are all things we'll be adjusting over time, but we're seeing signs of some colder air beginning to move on in. All right, so here's what we have here through a good portion of the week. We're going to take a look at Futurecast. So for today, all we're really mainly going to see is the clouds on the increase throughout the afternoon, but it will be a dry day. Now, as mentioned, as we were talking about, that storm is to our south. The flow around that low pressure system will bring the clouds, rain, and snow. We're going to see snow in Lassen, Plumas counties, even some of the higher elevations north of the valley, down to about 4,000, 4,500 feet. It's not going to be a lot initially, but then we will see more coming in through the afternoon. As you can see here, more of that widespread rain. And there are going to be periods of moderate rainfall as we go through the afternoon tomorrow. And snow levels, again, 4,000 to 4,500 feet. This could have an impact on some of your mountain travel. And I would say basically mainly east of I-5 for some of those higher mountain passes. And I'd say probably 5,000 feet and higher is going to be your biggest concern. Then we take you into your Wednesday. Notice how it's kind of wrapping itself up. So this is the second day that the storm system's over us, and then it starts to kind of move on out and wrap itself up by Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, and we're looking at drier conditions going into your Thursday. In fact, there you can see Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Still some clouds lingering in the area, but then you can see as we go into Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, we're looking at dry conditions. That trend of drier weather will continue into Friday, but then more wet weather as we talked about for the weekend. Let's take a look at the forecast rainfall totals. Now, this is interesting. Take a look at this. Most of the rain through Wednesday, this says through Thursday, 10 p.m. Keep in mind the rain stops by Thursday morning, but for Tuesday, Wednesday, look where most of the rain is. It's in the valley. And we're seeing most of it to the south because remember, this storm is coming, all the energy coming from the south due north, and it's just heading right into the valley. So the surrounding foothills in the valley, you'll see the main area of the heaviest rainfall is in the valley and even a little bit off to the east as well. But look at the coast. because the flow around that low is bringing it in, but it's having a harder time kind of working its way over the mountains and coming into along the coast. Now, I do think that there are some spots that could see a little bit of rainfall. Even Crescent City could see a little bit of rainfall, but it won't be a lot. In fact, this is the different forecast model, just kind of showing you through Wednesday. Same general idea, right? Heaviest rainfall in the valley and a little bit off to the east and southeast of the valley, but certainly a lot less. But this model does pick up on a little bit of rainfall for places like Crescent City, but then a little bit more as you head to the south. So yeah, the models are in pretty good agreement that this is where most of the rain will be come Tuesday and Wednesday. A welcome sight. We could certainly use the rainfall, although Crescent City has been below average so far for the season, the entire season with rainfall. So we can certainly use more there as well. Take a look at this. We actually do have a winter weather advisory for Lassen, Plumas, and the mountains just east of the valley for tonight through Wednesday, 4 p.m. And it's for mainly elevations above 5,000 feet, but we could see, as I mentioned, down to about 4,000, 4,500 feet. So you can see some of the pinks. That's over a foot of snow. So the summit of Mount Shasta, yeah, over a couple of feet of snow, and looks like Lassen Peak may see some snow as well. And I would say that most of the snow looks to be in the northern Sierra southward. We're not going to see as much off to the west, but eventually we will see that change for the better. More snow by the weekend. And look at the Sierra. If you're traveling in the Sierra, say Tuesday and Wednesday, do note that there will most likely be chain requirements as we're expecting some good snow out over the Sierra as well. Now, taking a look at the Climate Prediction Center, this is what it looks like as we go into February 17th through the 23rd. So we're getting toward the end of the month. It looks wetter than normal. So this is good to see. But what's interesting is, you may recall several weeks ago, we talked about how the drought monitor, for the first time in 25 years, had all of California outside of any kind of drought. But last week, look at this. A little bit of that, just the lowest category at dry in the drought monitor for Del Norte County. And why is that? Well, because Crescent City and Del Norte County in general has been below average for the season, the entire rainfall season, which started October 1st, right, for the rain year. Let's get this out of here real quick so you can see that. But so you can see here, Crescent City, 81%. Now, when I reported these numbers yesterday, I think it was around 76%. So that 2+ inches of rain that Crescent City saw brought it up from 76 to 81%. So we're seeing it go upwards. And with the rain we're expecting this week, and especially in the next week, week and a half, we're going to probably see these numbers go up a little bit here. But Redding did drop below normal. Now we're right around normal for this time of the year, and especially by the time we get into tomorrow and Wednesday, this will climb up above 100%. And Eureka, you'll be close to 100%, and then Mount Shasta, El Turris, and Montague, all, of course, most likely staying above that 100% range. All right, put that clock back up so you can see what time it is. All right, take a look at the lake levels. So we were talking about how rainfall season overall looking pretty good. Lake levels overall looking pretty good. These are from yesterday. By the way, the data wasn't in for some reason this morning, so we're just using the data from yesterday. Now, I also want to show the snow cover, right? We've been talking about the lack of snowpack over California, and typically this time of the year, you're seeing a lot of whites and even some of the blues in there. We're not really seeing a lot of that, are we? Right, so we just haven't seen a ton of snow. So when we look at the overall statewide average, only 55% normal to date right now. But that is most likely going to change because of all the rain and snow that we're expected to see here later this week, and especially this weekend. This weekend is really what we're going to be watching, because this is going to, I think we can see a good amount of snow over the weekend. We'll see, though. There's still a lot to iron out there. But there you can see the cooler than normal conditions here. We're back to normal, folks. We're back to the cooler and unsettled weather with the warmer air off to our east. 10-day trend, kind of interesting, right? Dry today, mid-60s. Wet Tuesday, Wednesday, mid to upper 50s. Dry Thursday, Friday, low to mid-60s. Wet weather moves back in over the weekend and into next week. Low 50s. Look how much cooler it is, too. We're seeing those temperatures drop. We're going to struggle to get out of the 40s by the time we get to Tuesday of next week. So, yeah, it's going to be cooler out there. All right, let's take a look at the wave heights. They're going to be a little high today, but by tomorrow, we should start to see them begin to back off. And when we look at the marine forecast, you can see, yeah, the winds eventually this afternoon will be from the north at 15 to 20 knots. Waves from the northwest at 3 feet at 4 seconds, and from the west at 9 feet at 14 seconds. Small corrective advisory will take effect this afternoon and probably go into the evening hours. So here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. You've got those temperatures in the low to mid 50s today. What I expect across the board is a break today, Thursday, and Friday. But every other day, a chance for showers. However, of course, we saw that on Futurecast. Places to the north are going to have a harder time getting rain on Tuesday and Wednesday. So not a lot of rain this week for the North Coast, in particular Del Norte County, but that'll probably change by the weekend. Siskiyou County, you've got the chance for showers by tomorrow, but today it will be dry. Temperatures the mid to upper 40s for your daytime highs. Modoc County, you're dry today. Temperatures mid to upper 40s here as well. Better chance for that rain and snow by Tuesday, Wednesday, and much lower snow levels by this upcoming weekend. Eastern Mountains, you've got temperatures 40s and 50s, although Shingletown and Paradise, you'll be in the low 60s out there for today. Let's take a look towards the valley, south end of the valley. Biggs about 61 as well as Gridley, 63 for Corning, Pasquinta, and Elk Creek. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Chico, there's that wet weather Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, it's dry, and then more wet weather over the weekend. All right, let's take you up to the north. 64 degrees for Redding, 61 in Whiskeytown, and Bella Vista, about 64 degrees. And there's a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding. Wet weather off and on. This is the way it should be, my friends. This is the way it should be, right? Off and on rain. We're not getting a ton of rainfall and flooding-like conditions. These are not massive storms that are moving through, especially Tuesday and Wednesday. Not a big storm, but it is going to bring us some decent rain in some areas, especially in the valley. The weekend, it's just going to be colder storms, which is going to have a bigger impact if you've got mountain travel. So definitely some good news. We're finally getting back to normal around here. It's just kind of that fall spring where Mother Nature didn't know how to react. We started seeing some buds coming out on some of the trees and even a little bit of blooming as well. But now as we get the colder and wetter weather, we should start to see those retract a bit, right? Let's check in with some of you here. And we've got Tim Moore checking in this morning saying, "Morning, Mike Krueger, weather NorCal. How much snow do you think the Ayden area and Bernie will get this week?" Probably not as ton this week because snow levels are still going to be about 4,000, 4,500 feet. So Bernie most likely in the form of rain, both Tuesday and Wednesday. Maybe a mix by the time we get into Wednesday, but I wouldn't anticipate any accumulating snow in Bernie. And then Ayden, higher elevation, might get a little bit of snow, but not a ton. I don't anticipate it being a big problem this week. It's this weekend. And we'll have to iron out the details on how much snow we could possibly see, but I do think we'll see accumulating snow in Bernie over the weekend, and I do think that we will see accumulating snow in Ayden as well. As I mentioned, over the weekend, snow level is probably somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 feet, probably somewhere in that 2,500 foot range. So, you kind of do the math where where these different elevations are. And that's where we could potentially see some of that snow. So that would include places like Mount Shasta City. I think Weaverville, Hayfork potentially could see some snow this upcoming weekend. And by the way, going into early next week, maybe even some lower snow levels. I'm not anticipating the valley to see any snow. No, I don't see that happening, but it certainly is going to be a bit cooler going into next week. All right, that's going to do it for us this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your work week. And we will be back again tomorrow morning right here at 6:30 on Coffee with Krueger. In the meantime, have yourselves a great Monday, and we will see you tomorrow morning.